island where stories grow wild, to the glow of the stage where the dream meets the child. A quiet flame, a hidden spark, drawn to the words that lit up the dark. Curtains rose and so did he, finding power in poetry. One voice, one mic, one sacred truth. Every word he spoke uncaged the youth. He saw the world try to silence the bold, but his soul was wired to break the mold. Now he walks in purpose, pure and true. He was born to speak.
Yeah, here we go, y'all. Here we go. Another episode of Born to Speak to You TV. On this powerful episode, we highlight the impact of DuPage ACT-SO, a NAACP youth program that's developed and dedicated to excellence in African American high school students. Now, ACT-SO is an acronym, and it actually means Afro-Academic, Cultural, Technological, and Scientific Olympics. But it's more than a competition. It's a launch pad for building confidence, creativity, career growth through mentorship and training. Students explore performing arts and different subjects in that, like acting, dance, poetry, music, the humanities, writing, playwriting, and oratory, and the visual arts as well, like photography, painting, and sculpture, and building skills all the while in expression and leadership. This episode is more than a conversation. It's a call to invest in our youth, to celebrate their brilliance and ensure that their voices are not only heard, but elevated. We'll be right back after this short message with my guest today.
Welcome to Born to Speak to You TV, where we're speaking life into the moments that matter. This isn't just a show. It's a movement. It's a space where stories are honored, voices are lifted, and truth has a mic. Each episode, we dive into powerful conversations on identity, on equity, growth, healing, leadership, and the courage that it takes to speak up in a world that often wants us to keep quiet. Whether it's through personal testimony, community impact, or artistic expression, Born to Speak to You is where voices rise and change begin. Our mission is simple: to empower people to use their voice, own their truth, and build bridges of communication and understanding. So, sit back or lean in, because you're about to witness what happens when passion meets purpose. This is Born to Speak to You TV. Let's speak life.
Welcome back to Born to Speak to You TV, where powerful voices meet powerful conversations. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and today's episode is about something deeply personal and profoundly necessary: speaking life into the lives of young African American students. Today, we're diving into one of those spaces, DuPage ACT-SO, a program that's dedicated and committed to cultivating brilliance, creativity, and excellence. I love that, in our youth. And joining me first today is Dr. Leslie Ford. She's the current chairperson of DuPage ACT-SO, who is helping lead the charge in shaping the next generation of thinkers, artists, and leaders. Now, later on also will be Jordan Sharber. She's a former ACT-SO competitor whose talent and presence left a lasting impression with me. I know that personally because I had the honor of serving as a judge for her dramatic acting performance. So this conversation, folks, is more about competition. It's about identity, opportunity, and what happens when we intentionally pour into our young people. So let's get into it. Dr. Ford, welcome to Born to Speak to You TV.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gibbs. It's a pleasure to be with you and your audience this evening.
It's a pleasure to have you. And as we were talking before the cameras started rolling, we just uh, got finished a couple weeks ago with
Mhm.
the competition in ACT-SO. Saturday before last, I believe it was. It was a
Mhm.
full day, and I must say, of the years that I've been involved with this competition and the program itself, I thought things ran really, really smooth. Now I know, just like with theater, there's always some background stuff that doesn't go right, but
Yeah.
honestly, a lot of that was invisible to the viewing eye. So thank you for what you do and did.
Well, I thank you for that tremendous compliment. We had 50 students that competed in 26 different categories, 77 judges, and 50 plus volunteers. So there's a whole lot of coordination that took place for that day, but it was an awesome event for anyone that had the opportunity to join us. It was a celebration of the excellence of our youth.
Absolutely, it was. Absolutely, it was. So, as I like to say, let's jump right into the deep end. That's where I like to hang out because that's where the party's at, in the deep end. So, let's get wet.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's begin with some questions about the power of being seen and heard. Why is it critical for young African American students to have platforms where they are truly seen?
Well, I think it's critically important and always has been, but especially today. Our history is being erased. And with that are opportunities for us to have images, positive images, constructive images reflected back to our youth. And so through our program, we provide exposure opportunities where students have the chance to see Black excellence. They have the chance to see industry professionals at the top of their game. They have exposure opportunities that are sometimes not naturally afforded to them. So we create those opportunities. We link them with professional mentors. We allow them and create a forum where they can be mentored over the course of a 7-month period. And then we help to instill work ethic, which leads to our competition. You have to go through a lot of preparation, a lot of personal development, and push through and persevere to make it through our local competition. And so these are life skills. They're not just about competition. They're about how you can be competitive in life. So we're grooming the next generation of leaders, and we take that commitment very seriously.
Absolutely. Now, I have a question for you. What the motto of my show is speaking life into the moments that matter. But from an organizational point of view, what
Mhm.
does speaking life look like in action for 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 AXO?
I think it means affirming students every opportunity that we have. It means creating spaces where they feel comfortable, where they can be themselves, where they can tell and share their own stories, where they can be creative and imaginative and it be positively regarded, where they can feel validated and felt and feel like they're what they say, what they think, what they feel matters. That's so important. And sometimes the spaces in our communities don't afford that. And all children need that, especially Black children in today's culture.
Mm,
We need that.
indeed, indeed, they do. Now, how do you ensure that every student, not just the top performers, feel
Mhm.
valued?
Well, we take a very personal approach. Mentorship, enrichment programming is not just, top level action items. We get to know our students. We get to know their families. We take a holistic approach where we're all in this together. We're a village, and it takes the collaboration and participation of all of those stakeholders that we just mentioned, also including the private sector and the public sector, to help our students receive the resources, the support that they need to be successful. So that's how we make them feel seen and heard, by bringing the entire village to bear to support them in their personal development.
I love that approach. We're going to put a pin in it right now for a short message. We'll be right back. This is Born to Speak to You TV.
Wonderful.
We are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs. My guest is Dr. Leslie Ford, and we're going to keep this conversation going and move into the role of creative expression in growth. Why is creative expression especially important for African American students?
I think it's really important, critically important, because it's the way that we find ourselves, but also find our connection to the world around us. It's how we develop self-esteem. It's how we express the most intimate parts of ourselves in a way that others can find understanding. So it's critically important that there are spaces where those skills can be cultivated. We provide enrichment opportunities in 5 broad categories, whether it's performing arts, visual arts, the humanities, STEM, or business. So there's something for everyone. And so oftentimes you find creative opportunities in some of the most unusual places. Creative opportunities can come through business. Sometimes students find real life problems and they go about trying to solve them through any one of those different categories. So again, ACT-SO is more than a competition. It's about how you find your talents, how you utilize them for the uplift of yourself, but also for your community.
Indeed. Now, as the theme song indicated, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, came of age in the 1970s, and it was a rough time. It was a rough environment, the inner city, as they call it. What are the risks when creative programs are removed or underfunded in communities?
Well, I certainly think that some of the risks that you just described have not been eliminated. The risk of violence is still very real. The risk of low self-esteem, lack of access, lack of opportunities is very real. That can bend or change your trajectory completely in life, not just academically, but social mobility. So I think the risk is not having opportunities to express oneself can also lead to other ills as well. I'm a mental health professional by training, and when people don't have opportunities to express their feelings, their thoughts, sometimes those get internalized. In worst case scenario, they get externalized, and those become societal issues. So I think it's really important that we have spaces and places where children can express themselves, learn about themselves, grow, develop, and really to cultivate resilience and self-esteem. You can't avoid hard times, but you can learn how to navigate them. And so having creative spaces can also provide an opportunity for that as well.
Yeah. And as they say, the idle mind is the devil's workshop or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's important to keep our youth busy and active doing things. What transformation have you seen or witnessed in students through their creative journeys?
Well, I'll speak from a personal standpoint. I am the mother of 2 ACT-SO students. I used to run the junior ACT-SO program, which was our middle school program, and I also have served in a variety of roles with our high school program. And I can tell you, both of my children went through multiple years with the program. The oldest was involved in our STEM program. She competed every 4 years, all 4 years, national medalist. And now she's working her way into medical school. So I can see direct correlations between what she did in our ACT-SO program to where she is now in her master's program. So I see the importance of STEM enrichment program. I see how mentors can plant seeds that eventually take root. I see that with her. My youngest competed in entrepreneurship. She is now a business owner. She's written 2 books. She sells her wares on the campus of Howard University. She's been featured on television shows and won a number of pitch competitions. So I see how those public speaking skills were cultivated through the ACT-SO program. So that's very personal. I see that firsthand, but I've also seen it in hundreds of children that we've served over our 49-year history.
And also, I have seen how art encourages students to speak life into their own realities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, theme song again, you know, going to a lot of on and off Broadway plays, never feeling that I was qualified. I was able to do it myself until the right opportunities came up that involved moving away from New York, coming to the Midwest, and basically just needing to find some community. I didn't
I could
I
agree
didn't
with
have
you.
any I didn't have any family or know anybody here. I had a job, that was it. And I got involved more in or drawn into the acting community,
Mm-hmm.
and my reality started to unfold. So go ahead, please.
So I love what you're saying because that's exactly what we try to create at a high school level, exposure opportunities. So we have partnerships with Argonne National Laboratory, Fermilab. We work with Elmhurst University and a number of different stakeholders to help our children have exposure opportunities. You don't know what exists until you have a chance to see it and experience it. We take them on field trips just to get them out of their surroundings so that they can see the full expanse of what's available in the world. You have no idea what the options are until you have a chance to see them, to experience them. And so I love what you were saying about mentorship because mentors play a critical role in that. Uh, Volunteers who are willing to give of their time and talents to help provide those experiences, to show students opportunities that they may not even know exist. It's so important.
Indeed, it is. Indeed, it is. And now that we have moved into the mentorship discussion, let's
Mhm.
add leadership and representation to that as well. Why does representation matter when it comes to speaking life into young people?
Yeah. Leadership, well, let me say representation matters because,
Yes.
again, I don't think you know what's possible sometimes until you see someone that looks like you in those types of positions. And so we're working to really develop our students not to just be employees, but we want them to be leaders in whatever field of endeavor they pursue. It's okay to start there, but what is the ceiling? What is your ceiling? What is your personal best? And so we are developing future leaders. And how do we do that? It's through public speaking. It's through interfacing with adults and being really comfortable expressing yourself. It's learning how to sell yourself. You're your best product. How do you sell yourself to anyone that you have contact with? You know, how do you think creatively? Because employers today, whether you're an entrepreneur or you will be employed someplace, they're not just looking for, they want soft skills, not just employment skills. They want soft skills. How well can you communicate? How well can you persuade people and think critically? That's vitally important. And some of those skills are ones that have to be developed over time, not just when you enter the workforce.
On the subject of leadership, I love leadership when it's rooted in service and empowerment.
Mhm.
And I know that the ACT-SO program actually guides the students into service and empowerment.
Yeah, absolutely. Every year we have at least one service project that the students participate in. And it's not just inclusive of the students. We invite families to join us as well. For some, they have not experienced the magic of what it means to give back and to be of service to someone else. And that's something that you want to cultivate very early on. If you are so fortunate as to receive, it is incumbent upon you to give back. And so we like to plant that seed early on that there is a full on expectation that not only will you give back to our program, but also to the community around you, wherever you may be. So we start that teaching and that indoctrination very early on.
Hmm. And I must say, I was so impressed. The first young man that we met coming into the building 2 weeks ago for the competition, we
Uh-huh.
didn't know it at the time, but he had been a prior AXO contestant or um, had been on the other side of the judging,
Yes.
and it was a pleasure to watch these young people helping out, guiding us where to go, answering questions. just to sit back and watch them in service. It was a great thing, and I really, really appreciated and
Mhm.
noticed that as well.
I think that's wonderful. And that's when you know you've made a difference. When our alumni come back and want to participate and help to develop the next generation, that's when you know
Mhm.
you truly made an impact. And I think in a few minutes, you'll have the opportunity to speak to one of our alumni. And I'm so excited for that opportunity for you as well.
So am I. I'm really looking forward to it, uh, especially because I had the opportunity to know her before she even, got out of high school, went
Uh,
to college, graduated, and now is on the path for her life journey. So
Absolutely.
I'm glad to be in the viewing chair to see what Jordan's going to do going forward. Let's speak real quickly about overcoming barriers and building confidence. What are some common barriers that students may face when they first enter the ACT-SO program?
I think that's a great question. I think one of the biggest challenges that families face, so I'm going to broaden this beyond just students. We have a very rigorous program, and it is structured in that way to achieve the desired outcome. And I think for a lot of people, it sounds really great. Well, we're going to be a part of an enrichment program, and our students are going to be mentored. Well, no, this is a full family commitment. It requires that you have students that can be present, engaged, and supported by their families. And so we provide, again, a lot of wraparound support to make sure that that whole picture is available for the students' benefit. We have family enrichment sessions for parents and others that are helping to raise our students. We have specific tailored mentoring programs and enrichment programs for our students. So it is a full approach where we make sure that everyone that is involved in that student's life has the support that they need to help that student be successful. And so some of the barriers can also be financial. They can be transportation issues. Some parents and families don't have the knowledge of how to navigate academic settings, much less community resources. So
Right.
providing information, providing consultation and support, make sure that families are feeling supported and not overwhelmed, especially when you get to senior year and you have all these demands and pressures and students are pulled in 50 directions. Families are trying to figure it out. We help to provide college and career readiness coaching to help to, demystify some of that process for them. So I
Oh,
think there are a
that's
lot of barriers, but barriers are opportunities. When we see barriers, we think about how we surmount those challenges and how can we do it in a supportive way for our students to be successful in our program and thereafter.
okay. Well, Dr. Ford, we're coming to our last question for you for this segment. And I want to ask you, since you have the background and now the definite experience in being the chairperson, what
Mhm.
is your vision for the future of DuPage ACT-SO?
Well, I think that the future of DuPage County AXO is bright. We have a 49-year history of service to our community. And that service is not only just to our surrounding community, we have students and families from across the Chicagoland area. I think our future is bright because we put in the work. We try to continually recruit students, volunteers, develop relationships with external stakeholders to bring new innovative resources, technology to our program. So we try to stay cutting edge. And I think our future is bright because our investment is strong in our students and trying to make sure that they're poised and positioned to be successful in life in any endeavor that they choose to pursue. So I think our future is bright. It has been bright because we are one of the most decorated chapters in the nation because of the work that we do with our students. But beyond the medals, it's because of the investment we make in families.
All right. And that's what it's all about. So, Dr. Ford, thank you so much for being our guest here on Born to Speak to You TV. But to our viewers, you don't want to leave because coming up next is my next guest, Jordan Schauber, who was actually a an ACT-SO competitor,
Mhm.
and gold medal winner. You're not going to want to miss this. Dr. Ford, I hope to see you again real soon.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And now we have a message from our sponsor. This is Born to Speak to You TV. And we are back. This is Born to Speak to You TV. This episode, we're speaking life, empowering the next generation through ACT-SO. And my guest right now is a young lady that I met way before the pandemic. I shouldn't say way before, but a few years before the pandemic, when I was judging her in her dramatic acting performance through ACT-SO. Welcome, Jordan Schauber.
Thank you so much for having me.
And it was a pleasure to get to the judging competition a couple weeks ago and see you there. I was like, wow, this is a great moment. And just having the chance to work with you and collaborate as a judge and see how far you have come from being on stage to now being behind the stage judging others. So let's jump right into it, Jordan. What did it feel like to you to have your voice and your talent recognized through ACT-SO?
Oh, goodness. It was something like no other. I think ACT-SO was definitely a launching pad for me just in my acting career in general, or just in just my next steps of life. I remember going to Howard University. I graduated from Howard University, and just going there and just being so open to seeing everybody there that's, you know, black actors, black actresses, and I hadn't seen that growing up. But ACT-SO definitely gave me that launching pad to be able to just see and experience that. So yes.
All right, sounds good. And there is a definite advantage, I feel, for going to an HBCU. I also went to one and changed my life.
Indeed.
Definitely changed my life. Jordan, can you describe a moment when someone spoke life into you and it changed your confidence?
I can say any one of my professors at Howard. I think it was the first time that I had actually had Black professors who were speaking life into me. When I was in high school, when I was in middle school, going through theater, I didn't experience that. I didn't have that. And so going to Howard, they really wanted to see everyone succeed. And I think Professor Ruffin, who I can think of personally, he continued to speak life into me. And I know we had many one-on-one conversations, and I would explain to him, you know, these are things that I'm struggling with. These are the things that I'm struggling with, like within the classroom. These are things that I'm struggling with outside of the classroom. And then he was there to really speak life into me in office hours, after class, and just really going. I remember we have this cafe called Sankofa on Howard University's campus. I remember we used to meet up there. We just talk about just different life skills that I could be practicing and working on, just different things that I could really take in advance where I need to go. So yes, I would say my Professor Ruffin really spoke life into me, and yeah, I'll just never forget it.
Okay. Now, just think for a second. This is outside of the box, but what might your path have looked like if no one had recognized or acknowledged or affirmed your talent? What do you think where do you think you could be, you would be?
I think if no one had recognized or affirmed my talent, um, I don't think I'd be in the same place that I am today. I think the people who have spoken life into me are really the ones that have pushed me forward and pushed me into rooms that I would not have myself gone and walked into, right? There are doors that I would have allowed to stay shut. There are things, opportunities that I would have turned down because I would have said, no, I can't do that, or no, I'm not good enough, or no, my voice doesn't deserve to be heard. So yeah, I would just say that yeah, there's just different doors that I would not be opening. And I know, like I said, Howard University, I give so much credit to Howard because it quite literally has changed my life. It has changed my confidence. It has changed the way that I speak, the way that I present myself, the way that I walk into rooms, the way that I address myself, the way I introduce myself to others. So yes.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And just like me, where I grew up and going to a lot of theater and watching and listening and seeing all of the hard work put into productions, but never being affirmed that Calvin, you can do this yourself. I never had anyone that said that to me until I got out of that environment of where I grew up and I started to see the world a little differently. That made the difference. So, Jordan, can you recall a performance you felt you were speaking life, not just to yourself, but to the audience as well?
The first thing that I can think about was way back when in ACT-SO. I think the first time that you actually judged me, it was my sophomore year of high school, and I did this monologue, Ice Cream for Dinner. And it was just about resilience. It was about this girl who was dying. She had cancer, right? And she was just reflecting on her life, about her relationship with her mother, just how her family's going to move on, like after she passes away, like what the world is going to be like next. And then all she wants in the end is ice cream for dinner. And I remember doing that piece. It was my first ever ACT-SO piece and my first time performing really in front of a judging like that. And I remember that piece spoke to me so deeply. One, because it was just about resilience. And I think allowing me to reflect on the different things that are happening in my life. What does my familiar relationships look like? How can I reflect on that? How can I reflect on the relationships with my friends? Just really just inward reflection. I think also that piece really spoke to me, like I said, about resilience, and just knowing that even though there might be hard times, right, there's still going to be joy in the morning. I think of that Bible verse, pain might come for a time, but joy will come in the morning. And so, yes, I would just say my first performance in ACT-SO.
Okay. And I'm glad that you mentioned resilience because you actually remind me of a young actress that came before us. I'm talking about 20 some years ago. And she auditioned for a part in a play that my theater company was producing. And something about her always stuck with me, the resilience of the piece, the way she presented herself. She was a very soft-spoken, but when she got to that part about pushing the resilience, man, she just turned into another person. And that always stuck with me to the point that not only did she get that part, but she, after a few years, she actually became part of our theater company. Mm-hmm. She went on to college and got her master's and now her doctorate in theater. And now she has her own theater company. And you remind me a lot of her, especially when you talk about resilience. So let's talk about mentorship, leadership, and representation. Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned the professor at Howard, yes, that spoke life into you. How about some other mentors that you may have had through ACT-SO, for example, that spoke life into you? How did they impact your journey?
The first mentor that I can think of is Mr. Amos Ellis. He is unfortunately passed on, but I think it was ice cream for dinner that he really honed in on with me. I think he also may have judged with you as well. And so I remember after the local competition, we obviously have to perform or compete at the national competition. And so we have to have a mentor. And so he mentored me with that piece. And like I said, it was the first time that I was actually being judged on an acting piece. And so he really took the time to walk with me through the script. He said, I know this might be your first time competing, but he really went line by line with me, word by word with me. We went through the actions, we went through just the objectives, everything that we need to know. And he kept saying that you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. Because I would always kind of get in my head and like, oh no, I can't do this. I'm not doing this correctly. I want to do it this way, but it's not working out. But he would always continue to speak life into me and say that you can do it. You can do it. And that's just something that I'll never forget. And I always reflect on it whenever I am doing a piece, whenever I'm just reading plays and I'm just working on monologues, by myself. I'm always thinking there's always that imposter syndrome that kind of creeps in from time to time and says, oh no, you can't do it. Oh no, this other person can do it better than you. Oh no. All this doubt that kind of creeps in. But I always reflect, for some reason, I feel like the Lord always puts him back into my mind, and I'm always reflecting on that moment of him saying that you can do it. I remember we used to go to, I believe, one of the churches here in Bolingbrook, and we used to rehearse in there because that would be the only space that we could rehearse in. And so I just remember being in that space and working on that piece. And then sometimes I'd get frustrated with myself because things were not working out. So I'd go take a sip of water. I'd go take just a walk around the sanctuary to clear my head. And he would just always remind me, Jordan, you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Always to me. So that's just one mentor that I will never forget.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. So, Jordan, an offset of the question I asked Dr. Ford previously in the last segment is, how important was it for you to see leaders who look like you in positions of influence?
It was completely life-changing. I think growing up, I did not get a chance to see that. I didn't have that. And just even going through ACT-SO and seeing all of the judges who looked like me and wanted to see me succeed. And I would go back and read the feedback from the judges after the competition was over, and just seeing just the positive comments that were there, and just, also the constructive feedback that I could use for the national competition. And yeah, it was just, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. It's good to know that somebody read the notes and the encouragement and the critiques, because we always submit it and we always wonder, are they actually reading it? Are they paying attention?
Yes.
So thank you so much for confirming that. How are you yourself now stepping into leadership or mentorship roles yourself, or are you?
Yes, I also judged the ACT-SO competition with you a couple weeks ago, and just the honor and privilege of that, just being on the opposite end of the table, just being able to speak life into those who are competing. I just remember writing down just really, really positive comments of like, you can do this. This was great, but this is what we can work on to just make it a little bit better, and just raising just the bar. As Dr. Ford said, what is your ceiling, right? So then, if that's what we're giving, and that is your personal best, how can we go even further for that? So that's what I'm doing. I'm also like serving in my church in leadership and making sure that I speak life into those. Different kind of life, of course, but just speaking life into them, and just guiding them through small groups, through Bible studies, just through discussion questions, that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you for that, Jordan. In your opinion, what happens to young people when their struggles are ignored or dismissed, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think when we're dismissed, I think we can kind of go into, I can only speak for myself, but in my opinion, I think we can kind of go into the shell of nobody wants to hear my opinion. Nobody wants to see me succeed. Nobody wants to hear my voice and my thoughts, and we kind of crawl into this shell, and then kind of hide ourselves from the opportunities that could possibly lead us forward into something greater. So yeah, I think that we can kind of distance ourselves from what our futures could be.
Okay. Well, Jordan, let's say that there's a student out there right now that's battling fear, doubt, or maybe even lack of support. What advice would you give that student?
That advice I would give is to go into the places where you are wanted. Go into the places and find those around you who you can root yourself in community. That's what I would say, is to root yourself in community. And I know that could kind of sometimes be difficult to find those who support you, those who speak life into you, those who will continue to say, hey, I know you're feeling kind of down. I know you're battling doubt and fear right now, but here's how we can combat that. Here's how we can battle that. So I would say just to continue to root yourself in community, because I know community is the place where things bloom. It takes a village to kind of carry everybody. So
Yes, indeed, it does. Now, we know that in the world right now, there's a lot of programs that have been cut, not only for students in the area of DEI, so on and so forth. These programs no longer exist. From your point of view, from your humble experience, what could be lost if programs like ACT-SO didn't exist?
If programs like ACT-SO didn't exist, I don't think students that look like me would have the opportunities to see that they belong in those specific spaces. Without ACT-SO, I wouldn't know I wouldn't have the foreknowledge of going into college, of the Black playwrights, of Black poets that I would need to know, because I didn't have that when I was in high school and in middle school. But then ACT-SO kind of pushed me into that space and said, here you are, right? Here's your history, right? Here's who you need to look up. Here's who's the ancestors, the grounding or the framework of what you're trying to go into. These are the ground that you need to stand on, and then just kind of pushing me in there. So I think that if programs like ACT-SO are lost, I just think that students would miss out on the opportunities to see that there is space for them. That's what I think.
All right, you preach, Jordan. You go ahead and preach now.
No, when I tell you ACT-SO has quite literally changed everything, and you never know who's in ACT-SO. I went to college, and one of my professors, she was in ACT-SO, right, way back when, because she saw my resume. She was looking over my resume. She said, ACT-SO? I was in ACT-SO. I said, no way, that's crazy. So you just never know who was a part of ACT-SO and what that can impact. And ACT-SO's been around for so long, and I think if we just lose out on opportunities like that for people to grow, for people to meet others, that's just another connecting point, right? If we lose out on that, then we just lose out on so much.
All right, thank you. I definitely agree with that. And as we wind up this segment, what legacy, now this might be a little early on to ask you this, but what legacy do you hope to leave for those coming behind you?
I would hope to leave a legacy of resilience, and knowing that although that the world is changing and it may not be changing for good, or in the way that one might desire, that it is important to root yourself in something. It is important the legacy that I would want to leave is to root yourself in community, root yourself in the things that matter. And from there, everything will kind of blossom that way.
All right. Well, Jordan, continued success to you. Thank you for being a guest on Born to Speak to You TV. I look forward to big things coming from you. I have some theater connections I'm going to pass on to you as well, as far as potential auditions coming up, some people that can help you get to whatever your goals are. I would like to to be a part of that and help you figure it all out, because it is a maze, this thing we call life. And if we can help each other, if I can help you, I'm definitely going to do that. So thank you again for being on the show. If anyone wants to send Jordan an email, her email is jordansharber01@gmail.com. And if you want to reach my previous guest, Dr. Leslie Ford, you can definitely reach her at chairperson@DuPage ACT-SO.org. And it's on the screen right now for you. All right, Jordan, thank you again. And we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back with Straight Talk with Calvin. This segment we like to call Straight Talk with Calvin. Let me be real with you. We can't just sit around and complain about what our young people are becoming if we're not intentional about pouring into them. Programs like ACT-SO don't just happen. They're built by people who care enough to show up, to mentor, to spend their time, to invest, and to believe. Because here's the truth. Our young people are not lacking talent. They're not lacking brilliance. They're not lacking potential. Too often, what they're lacking is exposure. They're lacking opportunities, and they're lacking affirmations. And when you speak life into a young person, you tell them that they matter. When you show them that they belong, when you give them a stage, you don't just change their moment. You change their trajectory. Think about that for a second. So the question is not whether our youth can rise. The question is, will we lift them? Will we lift them? This is Straight Talk with Calvin, and we'll be right back after this message. This is Born to Speak to You TV. What an incredible and necessary conversation I've had with my guest today. I want to thank Dr. Leslie Ford and Jordan Sharber, not only for joining us, but for the work that they're doing to uplift, inspire, and empower the next generation. This episode reminds us that speaking life isn't just about words, it's about action. It's about showing up. It's about creating spaces where our young people can thrive and be seen and be heard. Now, here's where you, the viewer, comes in. If you believe in the power of our youth, if you believe in building confidence, leadership, and excellence, then don't just watch this episode. Become a part of the movement. Support programs like DuPage ACT-SO. Volunteer your time and expertise. Mentor a young person in your community. And most importantly, start speaking life into someone today, because these are the moments that truly matter. One voice, one moment, one opportunity can change everything. It can change their trajectory. It can even change the course of history. I want to thank DFN Broadcast Studios for the opportunity to use this platform to speak life into the moments that matter. I'm Calvin Gibbs. This is Born to Speak to You TV. And remember, your voice was never meant to be silent. So speak life into the moments that matter. And I'll see you on the next episode.
Of Brooklyn, where stories grow wild, to the glow of the stage where the dream meets the child. A quiet flame, a hidden spark, drawn to the words that lit up the dark. Curtains rose and so did he, finding power in poetry. One voice, one mic, one sacred truth. Every word he spoke uncaged the youth. He saw the world try to silence the bold, but his soul was wired to break the mold. Now he walks in purpose, pure and true. He was born to speak to you. He's got that rhythm in his truth, that fire in his flow. Speaking life into the moment, watch it grow. Every phrase, every beat, a breakthrough cue. Yeah, he was born to speak to you. Let the